I'm gonna set my time so I don't take everybody's time. Just a bit short for me, so I'll try to adjust and do my best. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor to be here in Orange County in LA. I don't really have a lecture or speech. I have a few talking points. I'm gonna quickly talk about some points that in the recent updates in the revolution. I'm gonna talk about the Arab League. Hello? Yeah. Now we can talk. I'm going to stick with English as everybody speaks in English. So we're going to talk about the Arab League and the Security Council. What's up with the Arab observers or monitors? What they did in Syria? How bad and how good was that? And why we want them to stay and we appreciate their work. At the beginning, it's not the mission or the job of the Arab monitors to stop the killing. So everybody, when the Arab monitors came to Syria, started insulting them and attacking them, saying that, or arguing that the killing did not stop when they came to Syria. In fact, it's not their job to stop the killing. They did similar monitoring program in Serbia, 1996, and they sent lots of people, lots of honest and great people. Among them was Monsef al-Marzouki, the current president of Tunisia. He went there, he saw the killing. He did not manage to stop the killing. He submitted a report saying those people need protection and the UN should act immediately. So what we want from those Arab monitors or observers, just to go and to tell what's happening. Who's killing whom and how and which action the UN or other organization have taken. And they did. They submitted a report. It was not the best. They included a line denouncing both sides of using violence. However, the report included lots of our arguments from the opposition or from the revolution side. Was not a bad report, and now we can touch and feel how important was the report. When we see the Arab League resolution about Syria or statement asking Assad to deliver his power to his vice president, to form a national unity government. Everybody knows that Assad would never do that. He would reject to think about it at the first place. And that's encouraged the Arab League to go to the Security Council. Now we've been in the Security Council before, and we had a double veto, Russia and China. And we had to work hard to talk those two countries away of our way. And we did with China, thanks to Saudi Arabia. Iran had the sanctions, and that's the political, international politics serving our cause sometimes and opposing our cause sometimes. We have a great relation with Turkey, and France proposed what's so-called a safe corridors or Mamarrat Amina, and they encouraged Turkey to apply that. However, France opposed a law that criminalizing anyone who denying the genocide against Armenians. The relation between Turkey and France is bad now. That was a bad thing for us. Another good thing that we benefited from, that's out of our hands, was the sanctions against Iran. Iran no longer able to produce the same amount of oil, and that's pushed Saudi Arabia to produce more. 85% of the Chinese oil used to come from Iran, and now it's coming from Saudi Arabia. And that's pushed the Chinese Prime Minister to go to Saudi and meet with the king, who told him directly, you vetoed a resolution was supported by us and backed by Saudi Arabia. No oil here, deal. And that's we get China out. Direct deal. You don't veto any resolution against Syria, you get oil. You veto, you're out, no oil. And we get China out. And we had Russia only left. And we have Qatar with a huge amount of natural gas. Russia has two sources of revenue or incomes. The money came from weapons from the threat of the weapons and the gas they sell to the Europe. And the second or the first country of producing gas in the area is Qatar. If Qatar dropped the price of the gas a little bit, internationally the price is going to be down, and Moscow will be in financial crisis. And Qatar playing this card now with Moscow. So we're eliminating Moscow more and more. Thanks to the US government as well, Frederick Hall and Jeffrey Feltman, we know who they are. They both were in Moscow last week. They met the officials and the Russian government, and they had a great debate with them, trying to convince them this regime is going, Assad regime is going. And they have to reevaluate their position about Assad and supporting him. Currently we have much better position in the Security Council. The worst case scenario, Russia would veto one more time and done. They are out. A better case scenario, they're going to abstain on Tuesday in the voting. The resolution proposed is not realistic in our words, calling Assad, supporting the Arab League initiative or resolution. Assad would never transfer or deliver the power for his vice president. But this is a way we have to take, a path we have to take. We're here, and protecting civilians is here. And we have a checklist of things, and we have to go them one by one. If we don't go via them one by one, through them, Russia would veto, would say you're intervening in another country. So we have to do observers, and Assad attack them, abuse them, and kick them out. Done. We have to have an Arab League resolution or proposal for him. He rejected. Done. So at the end, we go to the Security Council saying, hey, we did all the great things in the right way, and he's rejecting. Help us. And that's what's happening now. Unfortunately, the humanitarian cost for this is very high. But you know what? We're in a great shape in the revolution. I've seen lots of sad faces in the past week. We're being killed, we're dying. That's true. Nobody said freedom is for free. And we're not going to get it for free. We have to pay for it. What we're trying to do to make this humanitarian cost as less as possible. So we don't pay a lot, but we're going to pay to change this regime. Nobody suggested from the beginning Assad would quit at the first chance and say, you know what, here's the power, I'm out. We're going to fight to the last bullet and to the last Syrian. And we're going to make it shorter and easier and less costly. That's the first point. We have a gathering in the Security Council, lots of activists there. Dr. Ridwan Ziyadeh, Professor Burhan Ghalioun, Dr. Basma Qadamani, lots of activists from the Syrian National Council. I'm supposed to be in New York, but I wouldn't cancel in the event, as I promised my friends I'm coming. They're meeting with Nabil al-Arabi and Hamad bin Jassim. Lots of pressure by Qatar and the Arab League on Russia, and Russia won't stand against the Arab League entirely. We have 21 countries out of the 22 in the Arab League supported the initiative. Only Lebanon were against it, and we know why. It's not Lebanon. That's Hezbollah. Hukumat Hezbollah. That's not Lebanon. Hezbollah government. One of the comments that in the Security Council from the early week of the revolution that the Lebanese representative in the UN much worse than the Syrian representative. He is very bad. And we talked to lots of our friends in Lebanon, to the real Lebanese people. And they said, well, you know what, that's Hezbollah position, that's not the Lebanese people. And now we see our refugees in North, how they're being treated and helped, and we're very thankful and grateful for all of you who helped us and stand next to the right. Another quick point I want to mention is the comment I've been hearing a lot that the entire world against us. There's a plot against the Syrian revolution. Everybody is against us. We're alone in this. That's not true. That's not correct. That's 100% not true. Israel is not opposing changing the Syrian regime. As much of the speakers and media, I don't know why, they're using this comment or this argument just to justify or to answer any question they don't have answer for. While Israel is blocking. No, Israel is not blocking. Israel's first favor is to see Hezbollah, Iran, Syrian regime, allies, go. And now there's a huge sentiment inside Syria against Hezbollah and against Iran. And we all witness it in the chanting, in the slogans. Because Hezbollah and Iran took a bad position against our revolution, against our people. So Israel's favor to see this regime gone. It's not in their favor to see this regime stay. They're not lobbying for pushing him out, but they're not lobbying against it. They're in the middle. They don't care. They care about one thing: the next regime gonna announce the war against them or not. And internationally, they can guarantee only peace would give our back our lands, the Julan Heights. So the international community is not against us. They're helping. And the US did great efforts with the EU of trying to freezing all the assets or the revenues of the regime. And they did. There is financial crisis with Bashar al-Assad today and with his government. They're printing fake money to pay the Shabiha, and we saw that in the video. They're smuggling money to Lebanon. They try to support the lira, which is losing its value. We're in a great shape in the revolution. The gas and oil, of course, Syrians would suffer from the sanctions, and nobody said they're not going to suffer. But we're not going to get our freedom without suffering, and without paying the price that the freedom deserves. The third thing, why the revolution is going to continue, and what's the most likely scenario happening now. We're not 80s. We had armed group people that did not enjoy support of the entire nation. When Assad smashed them quickly, he had the support of a big portion and part of the nation. He enjoyed support of the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, and he enjoyed the blackout of the media. No news or pictures about Hama, which is not the case today. 200,000 videos, literally, are on their website called On Syria, On-Syria. 200,000 videos, we passed this number. We're armed with lots of cameras and phones and smartphones, with satellite phones. So nobody can kill people and commit a genocide. And Assad understood this formula correctly, 100%. You're not allowed to do a genocide now. It's 2012, and you cannot wipe down cities like Hama, and that's unacceptable. And if you try to do it, there's intervention happening in your country. And that's happened in Libya, because he tried to wipe down Benghazi with flies. And Assad got it very well. He's killing enough number to calm down the revolution, but not enough number to call for intervention. He kills 30, 40, 50, 100, but he cannot kill 5,000 the same day. But with the number escalating, with the 1 year almost the revolution, 11 months, we're approaching the unacceptable level of death. And that's why we have a great position in the UN Security Council. We have to pay for this position. And when we say in TV, the international community doesn't think that it's the time for intervention because we did not pay enough. That's the formula, unfortunately. We have to lose lots of people to gain lots of solidarity, and we did. And Syrians have been very generous in their lives for the sake of freedom. So nobody against us, and there's no plot against the revolution. We're in a great shape in the UN. And if we manage to pass this resolution on Tuesday, we're making great progress. In 2 days, in the past 3 days, we've seen the Republican Guard, الحر الجمهوري, in Al-Abbasiyin Square. He's using his own personal forces now, in the middle of Damascus. It's very close, very, very close, and that's why it's getting very bloody. As Hassan mentioned, when it comes to the end, it's getting more bloodier, but we're approaching the end. The fourth point, it's about the peaceful and the armed resistance. Are we peaceful or still peaceful? Are your Silmiya killing us seriously or not? How we benefit from the Silmiya? Without the peaceful protesting, we wouldn't gain all this solidarity and support from the international community. They only supported us because we have videos saying and showing that we're being shot only for chanting. And showing people taking off their shirts and sleeping in the streets and the tanks heading to their way. And they're not moving or running away. That's what gained us the first, the second, and the third resolution in the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva. When we had the massacre in Daraa and the graves, we had an urgent session called by the US. And that day, the Saudi and the Kuwaiti, the Jordanian and the Qatari ambassadors, they called the Syrian lost in life martyrs, publicly in Arabic. They called them shuhada in the UN Human Rights Council. When Hamza Khatib videos came out, we had an urgent session called by the EU group or the EU bloc in the council. And we had a finally report after 3 sessions saying there is systematic human rights crimes against humanity, and we suggest to refer this case to the UN Human Rights Council, to the UN Security Council. So we got a resolution. And they suggested to refer Assad to the International Criminal Court. We're in great shape in the revolution. Of course, we're seeing lots of blood in TV, lots of losing lives, but we have to pay for them. سلمية gained us all of this. Sympathies, support, solidarities, and nobody, all of Assad's friends, they cannot argue anymore and support him. He lost the support of his people because of our Silmiya. We got this card from his hand. You're killing peaceful, unarmed people. And that was a great point about it. Now there's people armed in Homs, yes, they are. And they're self-defending themselves. And that's not Askarat al-Thawra. We're not driving the revolution to be armed. To 85%, to 90%, we're still enjoying peaceful protests. In Dar'a, in Deir ez-Zor, in Hama to some certain point, in Damascus suburb or in Dimashq. And Homs people defending themselves after the regime played a very, very dirty game with kidnapping women and girls, rape them and deliver them back to their parents in a very conservative community. And that's what led me to my 5 point, which is the sectarian sentiment in Homs and elsewhere. If we get dragged by the regime to the sectarian violence, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose the war, the battle, if I may, it's not war. We're gonna lose our dignity, and we're gonna lose the solidarity and sympathy by the international community. When the things in the international, even regardless the international community, we're gonna lose the great thing about our revolution. It's a dignity revolution. It's about moral, dignity, freedom. And that's very far away from sectarian language and sectarian behavior. The regime pushed people to this in Homs by attacking conservative communities and kidnap their women and girls. And we all know how sensitive this issue is. But people were aware. When the kidnapping and counter-kidnapping started in Homs, 3 days after, Russia proposed a draft resolution denouncing both sides. US and EU countries blocked that in the UN Security Council. But see how sensitive it is and how damaging it is to be dragged to this war, sectarian war and sectarian violence. Easily we're going to lose everything. And that was a comment from Ambassador Robert Ford. I met him in Washington before he got back to Damascus. He pulled his iPad and showed me some videos. Okay, look at this. Tell me there's no armed people. We cannot defend you and the UN Security Council if you continue like this. Okay? It's the same thing the Russians telling Assad. We cannot continue covering you forever. You're killing lots of people. And when Assad communicated with the Russians recently, he asked them, would you cover me for 30,000 dead bodies and I smash Homs, wipe down Homs and we're done? And they say no. If the number approaches 10,000, there's an intervention away from the Security Council. They're going to intervene in your country. The most likely scenario to happen that the international community will not do a safe zone in the north of Syria. But Syrians are able to do it. And then we can enforce the international community to cover it and to protect it. It's very similar to Benghazi style, but we don't have weapons. Now Homs was liberated. Idlib, almost some towns of Idlib at the borders, because it's mountain and the geography preventing tanks to approach people, it's liberated. If we liberated Deir ez-Zor and Dar'a, and people did that in Douma, the middle, the heart of Damascus. More cities are out of the hands of the regime. He's losing his credibility, he's losing his control, and he's losing the sympathy and support of his people. When they're seeing him losing, they're shifting. And there's lots of people shifting. And we're getting calls from diplomats, from businessmen, who's blacklisted by the EU and the US, and their money frozen, and their assets are frozen. They want to shift their position right now. And that's why, because we achieved a lot, accomplished a lot in the revolution. Assad got the game very well. He cannot wipe down cities, but he can attack them, kill 50 to 100 a day. No more. There's a quota in this. Okay. If we liberated those towns, he cannot wipe them down with tanks. No. Okay, we're good with this. 3 minutes left. Assad cannot wipe down cities like Hama, but he can send his tanks to attack them and kill people. And that's why the Free Syrian Army playing a key role of protecting those cities, defending the tanks and supporting protesters, and protect their protest, the peaceful protest.
It's not armed protest if you have people to cover and to support and to protect your protest. It's still peaceful unless the Shapiha show up. If nobody show up from the government, no one bullet being shot in our peaceful protest. So we're not losing our peaceful protest. And Assad cannot wipe down those cities. He's losing the control of Dar'a, Deir ez-Zor, Homs, Idlib, Damascus suburbs. And it's getting crazy. If he sends flights and tanks and missiles and rockets attacking those cities, a UN Security Council resolution will immediately be taken. If Russia vetoed, the UN, the NATO, the US, Turkish, the Arab League will act immediately away from the Security Council. And that's happened in Serbia in '96. Russia vetoed 4 times. Last time, 7,000 people got killed and dumped in the same town. And Russia vetoed after that. 36 hours later, the NATO started bombing in Yugoslavia, in Serbia. I want to comment on 2 things about the situation in Aleppo and Damascus, because I'm hearing lots of insulting to Aleppo, and this is very unacceptable. We remember Tripoli under Gaddafi, they did not protest. In fact, they protest supporting Gaddafi to the last day, wearing these green shirts and the flags, and carrying the Qa'id and the Zanga Zanga speeches, and they running around Tripoli. When the rebels approached Tripoli, they took off this, and they trashed the green flag, and they got their own independence flag, and they joined the revolution. Aleppo and Damascus under very, very tight security position, and they cannot protest. It's not Homs, it's not Idlib, there's no borders, and like Idlib or Jabal al-Zawiya, people can escape. So we have to understand them, but they have been joining, especially in the Aleppo suburb. And recently Aleppo has been moving greatly. And we've witnessed a lot of protests in Damascus, in the middle, in Qadam, Midan, Abbasiyin, in Damascus suburb, Douma, Harasta. Douma has been a great point of protesting and liberating the town, and a great point for the Free Syrian armies to gather there. And the last point I'm gonna mention, I have I think 1 minute, it's about the false news and videos have been distributed online. That's not helping at all. Lots of rumors being distributed. I usually get 100 emails every day. عاجل وصلنا الآن بشار الأسد قتل شقيقه وهو في طريقه إلى المطار. عاجل من مصدر موثوق. It's all bad news. And guess what? It's been circulated online and used by some people. One of the comments Dr. Burhan Ghalion said to Nabil al-Arabi was the Syrian government are arresting 100,000 people, put them in containers and put them in ships in front of the port in Latakia. And that was a false news distributed in Facebook. And I have to call him and ask him to stop talking about this point. So lots of bad news. Some people thinking, well, we're defeating the government, spreading this bad news about them. You know what? They committed enough crimes to defeat them. We don't need this lies. We don't need to fabricate those videos and throw them online and then see them on the Dunya TV and elsewhere attacking our credibility. I spent 35 minutes with Al Jazeera director in the news, convincing him to play the video of Hussam al-Nabilsi, the guy with 7 children from Banias who've been tortured. The video was 100% accurate, and I know the officer who smuggled the video. And yes, no. After I agreed, after 35 minutes debate, he called me later. If I see the video on Dunya TV, I'm going to say Muhammad Abdullah. I said yes. We're losing our word and credibility with the media. And guess what? 60% of this battle is a media battle. If we don't have our revolutions broadcast and aired on Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya, France 24, BBC and elsewhere, it won't be protest. Even if people protested in Syria and nobody knows about them, it's not a revolution. We want to maintain this credibility. So please, anyone have contact with anyone who's reproducing those rumors or videos, ask them to stop. They're harming and damaging the revolution. I'm not going to delay more. I have a few points I want to bring them up, and I will leave them to the questions and answers, and I hope I answered all of your comments, your questions. Thank you.